Hi, I'm Amber with AAA Scholarship Foundation, statewide community outreach coordinator in Arizona. Today we're going to talk about our school commitment form, or SCF. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Right now you're looking at our 2020-2021 AAA Scholarship Arizona School Commitment Form, or SCF is what it's also referred to. Families who submit an application will receive a determination letter. Within that determination letter, if the family was qualified and has been awarded a scholarship, they will receive this form per qualifying and awarding student. So I'm just going to zoom in so we can take a better look at this. First thing to take a look at here is this deadline. There would be a date right here. It's the deadline date. So the form must be completed by the eligible private school of the parent's choice and returned to us, AAA Scholarship Foundation, on or before the deadline that is stated here. So it's crucial that you follow this deadline. Typically, if a family is on this scholarship for multiple years, then we usually send this out in February and the due date is in March. So that's a good time to kind of keep an eye out for these, but they're also going out throughout the year. So just keep an eye out when you receive one. Hopefully you'll refer to this video so you'll know what to do. If it's past the deadline date, please send it anyway. Worst thing we can do is say no, but we'll always check to see if we have any funds available, even if it's past the deadline date. In case of transfer to another eligible school, this scholarship is transferable. So if the student moves to another city, another school, then they are able to use this scholarship. They would just need to make a copy of this form per the determination letter. So please go ahead and a lot of times our families don't follow the directions on that letter. Feel free to make a copy of it as well. Keep it in a file so that way they can access it if they need to. But if in case of transfer to another eligible school, this form must be completed within 5 days of the student attending the new school. Any forms that reach the office after the cutoff date will result in forfeit of the scholarship. So please feel free to contact our office immediately with any questions. I will tell you email tends to be best, but you can always give us a call at 800 number, or if you have mine, you can reach me directly as well. This form will only be accepted for the student that's listed below. So here's your student name. That's who this scholarship is awarded for. It should be last name, comma, first. If it's misspelled or if there's something that needs to be corrected as far as the spelling of the student's name, this parent can go ahead and correct that and then just initial it. If you're thinking it should be for a sibling, for another student, if there's anything incorrect, do not cross this the name off here and write somebody else. Email us and let's talk about it. This next row talks about the grade level for the 2020-21 school year. If that's incorrect, again, have the parent correct it and initial. This next line, sorry, my highlighter's kind of funky today. This next line, scholarship award amount up to. So it'll have an amount listed here and it says up to. And what that means is we will award a specific amount or tuition, whichever is less. So whatever amount is listed here, that is what we will pay, or tuition, whichever is less. So right now in Arizona, our 2020-2021 100% scholarship amount, the award amount that we are paying is $5,600, or tuition, whichever is less. So if a school's tuition is $5,000, but here it's listed that our award amount is up to $5,600, we will only pay $5,000 because that is the amount of tuition. If the school's tuition is $6,000, then we will pay what is listed here, $5,600, and then the parent would be responsible for the difference. And that responsibility, that would be an agreement between the school staff and the parent. This last row, which is on both sides of the columns, it talks about the parent's employers. So we have parent A on the left, their employer, and parent B. If either of those are incorrect, have the parent correct it, write it in, and then initial. So looking over here to the column on the right, this is parent or guardian A. This person is the person who will sign checks quarterly. So just a little brief information about that, and I'll touch on that again later. We send our checks to the schools 4 times a year. It goes out quarterly. So we have a verification report that we send out to the parents or to the school. The school will complete that form, and then we generate our distribution checks, our payments, based on that verification report. And the checks will be made out to the parent, that's listed here, and then mailed to the school. Once the school receives it, they'll call the parent, have them come in and endorse it. The school will endorse it and then deposit it. If this is an individual, the parent that's listed here is an individual that has difficulty coming in to sign the checks and they need to change it to somebody else, please have the parent contact us, let us know that it needs to be changed, and it can be changed to someone else who that person must be on the application. Please also make sure that the parent address is current, as we communicate via U.S. postal mail as well as via email, so they need to make sure that that is current as well. So all of this information that I provided here that I just discussed is all going to be pre-populated. So when the parent receives the letter along with this form, it's going to be pre-populated. And this is where you as the school come in. So you're going to complete this part of the form. So the first row talks about what your school name is, and then it also has what is the 2020-2021 school start date. So what is the date that your school expected participation from students? So whether it was distance learning, hybrid, in school, what have you, what date did you expect student participation? That's the date that you're going to enter there. The rest of this information is crucial that it's current. We need current contact information for school staff because we also communicate via email as well as U.S. postal mail. So the checks, again, will be mailed quarterly. They'll be mailed to the school on behalf of the parent, so that mailing address needs to be current. And then we email that verification report, which is what the checks or the payments are generated from. So that email needs to be correct because we give you about a week to complete that verification report and then get it back to us. We want to make sure that you receive that in the timely manner. This is really important here. This is the student's first day in the school for the 2020-2021 school year. So this may or may not be the same as what you've written above the school start date. If you had a school start date of August the 7th and the student's first day was August the 7th, then they're going to be the same. We have other instances where maybe your school start date was August the 7th, but for whatever reason, the parent didn't receive this form and didn't enroll the child until, let's say, maybe August the 18th. That is the date that, and they started school that day. You would enter August the 18th here for the student's first day of school, regardless of when school start date is. Okay. If you do have a student who has been enrolled and has been attending since first day of school, but they didn't receive this form until later in the year, it is retroactive and we will cover from the time that the student attended. We will pay for services rendered. So again, we cover tuition only. Whatever is listed in your school published fees is what we cover. So it's tuition. It does not cover registration, books, uniforms, anything like that. So if the conditions of eligibility are successfully met, AAA will distribute payment directly to the school for up to the scholarship award amount or the school's published tuition for up to. So this is, again, that's where that $5,600, or it just depends on what the family has qualified for. We have a sliding scale, so as the income increases, the scholarship amount decreases. So it just depends on what would be plugged in here. So it's going to be that amount, whichever is less, and it's based on actual attendance. We'll touch on attendance in a few minutes. Let's look at conditions of school conditions of eligibility. All of these questions below must be checked in the yes column for the student to qualify for funding. So let's look at number 1. I certify that the student's 2020-2021 grade level is correctly stated above. So if it wasn't and you manually wrote it in and now it's correct, you'd mark yes. Number 2, I certify that the student is not receiving funding from a state voucher or other tax credit scholarship program. So that's, again, what this is. This is a tax credit scholarship program. We do receive our fundings from corporations, so it's a corporate tax credit scholarship program. But part of our policy is that we do not allow you to combine multiple scholarships that are tax credit, that are from a tax credit program or tax credit dollars. So if it's a state voucher like ESA or a tax credit program from another school tuition organization like us, we do not allow students to combine those dollars. So what they can do is they can apply with whoever they want, get all of the options in front of them, and then if they do in fact choose us, that they only choose us. If they've already accepted funds from another organization, they can forfeit those funds, return them, and then accept ours. Number 3, I certify that this student is attending this Arizona private school full-time, and that's whether remote distance learning or physically, and is not participating in any homeschool program, which is parent providing the instruction. So it cannot be parent-led instruction. It must be teacher or school-driven instruction, and that is required per the state of Arizona. This 4th one, I understand that I must submit a student withdrawal form to AAA within 5 business days of the student's last day. So every quarter we will send, as I mentioned before, a verification report, and I actually will have a video on that. So please check back on our channel for a video on verification reports. But along with that verification report, every quarter we will also send a student withdrawal form. So you should have that on file. But if you have a student who is going to be withdrawing or has withdrawn, please submit that student withdrawal form. We pay both ahead and arrears, and so we want to make sure that if a parent needs to come in and sign a check before they leave town, if they're moving, what have you, that we have enough time to do that. This 5th one, I certify that this school, number 1, is a non-governmental primary or secondary school that is located in Arizona. 2, does not discriminate based on race, color, disability, familial status, or national origin. And 3, all teaching staff are personnel who have unsupervised contact with students are fingerprinted. And that's something that we've always required. That's nothing new here. That's always been part of the school commitment form, and it's also required per the state of Arizona. Second to last one here, I certify that I must submit a copy of the school's published fee schedule for the school year 2020-2021 to AAA. Majority of you have already done that. We just need to make sure that when you submit a school commitment form that we do have a published fee schedule on file. Please don't send one every single time you send a school commitment form. Ideally, if you could, when you receive these, if you can send them all at once in one lump sum, that helps expedite processing instead of sending them each individually as you receive them. We do ask that you not hold on to them, but if you have a couple, please send them as a group. This last one, I certify that this school agrees to abide by all AAA scholarship administration policies and procedures as stated in the online parent and school handbook. So let's take a quick look at the handbook. So here is our website. I am at AAAscholarships.org, and I'm going to scroll over here to schools in Arizona. I will tell you this is a plethora of information, some great resources. I know when any of you have free time, I don't know what that is, but if you find any, please, 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 and actually please make some time to read our Arizona handbook and encourage your families to do the same. When you sign this school commitment form, you have agreed that you have read this, so as do the parents. So please read it, read up on our policies. That way you're not missing out or not, and making sure that you are abiding by our policies and procedures. There's an FAQ here. There's also a video tutorial of our scholarship application. So please encourage your families to take a look at that. That's on our YouTube channel. And then this also has some information in regards to COVID, as well as a scholarship check cashing policy and an amendment related to COVID. You can also see, if you scroll down, you'll see our payment schedule. This is crucial because it allows you to know when payments are going to be made. So our first verification report will be emailed, to you from Lupe, and I'll tell you who she is in a moment, our program director. She will email it to you on September the 4th. It's due the following Thursday on September the 10th. And then once we receive that, by that date, we will generate checks and the payment distribution will come from that. And those will be mailed on September 15th. So it's really crucial that you follow these guidelines and this deadline. If you don't submit your verification report by this date, unfortunately, you will not receive payment 1, and you'll have to wait for payment 2 to receive your payment. So payment 1 and 2 would be part of payment 2. Okay. I'm sorry, payment 1 would be added to payment 2 if you missed this deadline date. So please stick with that and adhere to that. All right, let's see. Coming back to all right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to come back to my apologies. Technology's great when it works. Okay. We were just talking about that parent handbook. So coming back to this SCF, your annual published fees. This is annual, not monthly, so please make sure that that's what you're writing here. Your annual published fees, you're going to list your school's published fees in the spaces below. Please don't leave anything blank. Enter 0 if it doesn't apply, if it's not applicable. We just assume that if you leave it blank that you forgot it. It's really, really easy. It talks about writing in the information for row A, row B, and then you'll actually add row A and B. Asks you about row C and D, and then you'll add row C and D, and so on. It's very self-explanatory. I'm going to read this fine print because a lot of times people don't read the fine print even if they've signed it. I acknowledge that payments by AAA are strictly contingent upon the school and family meeting and maintaining the above conditions of eligibility, upon the family remaining current on all fees and additional tuition payments, and the student meeting attendance requirements, no more than 18 days absence per school year. So just to be really clear with that, the state and our policy is to allow for a total of 18 days, 18 absences per school year. Anything beyond that is going to forfeit the scholarship. And we understand that these are unprecedented times. So if you have a family or a student who is approaching that high number of absences, please contact us sooner than later. Please do not wait for the verification report to submit the number of absences. There's just a process that we follow, so the sooner the better if you have a student who has an excessive number of absences. If they do have an excessive number of absences and are about to exceed the 18 days, we will address and handle those on a case-by-case basis, and documentation is key. Looking at this third line, I agree to monitor the situation and report to AAA if there is a default in the parent's portion of their required payment for this payment or for this student, or if anything occurs that would disqualify the family from continuing to participate in the AAA scholarship program. I agree to provide access to such documentation, if any, for audit purposes by AAA or its representatives. Finally, I certify that the above information is correct and agree to the terms outlined in this form. So here's where you, the staff, will sign and date it. Parent A or guardian will sign and date it. And then you're going to return it along with a copy of your published fees if you haven't already. And we offer, you can email it, fax it, or mail it, but I will just tell you, please, it's really best if you could just submit it via email in PDF format to lupe@AAAscholarships.org. Lupe is our Arizona program director, and she is the one that processes these. You can feel free to copy me as well, Amber@AAAscholarships.org. Just make sure that I receive it as well. Once Lupe receives and processes these, she will email you to let you know. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and just say, hey, I'm just checking on the status. I haven't heard from Lupe and the SCFs were sent. Or if you have a question on the status of your families, please feel free to reach out to me with that as well. And with that, I think that covers our school commitment form overview. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your partnership, and thank you for making academic achievement accessible.